right. As Jessica said, I'm Marcus Richardson from Centennial, Colorado. I'm married, thank you, Mia, to the lovely Carla Richardson. We have been married 17 years. We are high school sweethearts. I have 2 babies. My boy, I have a teenager, Brandon, so pray for me, y'all. He's an incredible young man, though. He's 13 years old, and my baby girl, Maya, she is 11. And so we are honored to be walking this walk with Andy. Thank you. I have been running with Andy for the last 9 years, and it has been an incredible journey. And I'm going to echo what Jessica said. By the way, Jessica, you did an awesome job. You did an incredible job, good job. But she made a statement about believing in yourself. And my subject tonight to talk about, or today, is to talk about how to sell $30,000 in a month. So if you're going to sell $30,000 in a month, the first thing you have to do is believe that you can sell $30,000 a month. Okay? Then the next thing is you got to make a decision. Nothing happens until you decide to sell $30,000 a month. Nothing happens until you decide to get out of your own way. Nothing happens until you decide what it is that you want. We all been talking partner, but if you haven't decided to go partner, nothing happens. So it starts with you making a decision. You got to believe in yourself and make a decision. And I'm big on teaching, so I'm going to give you the points that what we're going to talk about, and then I'll be done, okay? So I'll give them to you, and then we'll go back through them and teach them. How about that? Does that sound good? So the first point we're going to talk about when it comes to selling $30,000 a month is you got to have a schedule. So if you're taking notes, put schedule down number 1, and we'll kind of leave some spaces and we'll teach a little bit on that. And then number 2, when it comes to selling $30,000 a month, is you got to have resources. You have to be willing to invest in order to get to where it is you say you want to go. And then number 3 is you also have to be in a situation where you're able to manage your activity. A lot of times we talk about activity, but it's easier talked about than it is to be actually managed. So we're going to teach on those today, okay? All right, so I got notes on my phone, so y'all bear with me. All right, so one thing that I heard and I thought was really good, it says leadership is the art of getting someone to do something you want done. Leadership is the art of getting someone to do something you want done because they want to do it. So the biggest thing when it comes to leadership is you have to be able to lead yourself first. You're not going to lead other people if you can't lead or manage yourself. So what motivates you? What gets you up early in the morning and keeps you up late at night? I'm going to say it one more time. What gets you up early in the morning and what keeps you up late at night? Because that's what the motivation comes from. And a lot of times I've heard it said this is a self-discipline is something that we all have. But where self-discipline comes from is by keeping in front of you what you want all the time. A lot of people miss discipline, Terry, because they lose sight of what it is they say they want. And so if you can stay focused on what it is you want, then you can keep the discipline that'll help drive your activity, help drive your schedule. And I remember when it comes to schedule, Andy was really beating on me with those 8 steps. And not in a negative way, but he was really helping me to be successful. And he told me a story about attending all meetings. He calls me late at night, and it's probably about 12 o'clock my time, so 2 a.m. his time. And we're having this conversation, and he actually had sent Steven out to Colorado, and I didn't make the meeting. And he says, have you read the 8 steps? I said, yeah, I've read the 8 steps. And he said, well, do you see step number 5? I said, well, let me go get my book. So I run in, I get my book, and he says, well, what does step number 5 say? I said, well, it says attend all meetings. And he says, do you notice how I have the all in capital letters? I said, yeah. He said, did you think I was playing? I said, no. He said, well, you got to attend all meetings. And so I said, okay, and I'll make the meetings. And there was a guy who came out to Colorado probably 8 or 9 years ago. I've been 9 years, about 8 years ago. And he shared some nuggets with me. I won't have time to get into it, so if you want to hear it later, come see me later and I'll get into the rest of the story. But he said, if you want to make a 6-figure income in 12 months, I can show you these steps how to do it. That beginning of the year through March, we had only made $7,000. I took the man at his word. I said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and try this, and I'm going to do the things that he says, and I'm going to see how it ends up. The rest of that year, from April through December, we made $83,000 in commissions. Just following these steps. Now, one of the biggest things that he talked about was the schedule. So I'm going to give you some nuggets as it pertains to schedule. So if you're taking notes, write this down. So they say, what days are good to dial? Any day that ends with Y.
That's right. Come on now.
Okay. So what you want to do, though, because I'm not going to tell you what schedule you have to do, but what you want to do is you want to have a set time that says, okay, in this block of time, I'm going to be making these phone calls, and I'm going to keep working until I get the results. Where most people stop, Sebastian, is they just put in time, but you know you're an entrepreneur, right? You don't get paid just to put in time. You get paid based on results. So if you put in 4 hours of phone calls and you only have 3 appointments and you're going for 20, guess what? You got some overtime today. Because you're an entrepreneur. You don't get paid just to put in time. You get paid based on results. So when you're setting your schedule up, the first thing you want to do is you want to say, okay, during these days and these times, I'm going to be making phone calls. And then anytime you make phone calls within 24 to 48 hours, you want to go see people. So you don't want to call someone on Saturday and then go see them next Thursday. No. That messes with your show ratio. You go out and now you're all disappointed and depressed because nobody's home, and you drove an hour to go see them and they're not there. So just set yourself up for success. So when you start putting your schedule together, you say, okay, if I'm calling on Saturday, I'm going to go see people Sunday, Monday, or I know this is exception to my rule. Sometimes I'll call on Saturday and I'll book for Monday and Tuesday. Okay? So the next thing you want to do when it comes to your schedule is you also, and you guys have heard it, 40-40. So if you're going to be making phone calls and you're going to set up your schedule, you want to do one day of 10 appointments and the next day of 10 appointments. And some people say, well, how far apart should the appointments be? Every person is different in the home, and your in-home presentation is going to vary. And if you're running in certain counties, that's going to vary too. Because in Colorado, we have one county called Weld County. Boy, I'm not kidding. You can drive to one appointment and go to another appointment, and it's 2 hours away in the same county still. So you have to give account for that too if you're going to be productive with your time. So when you're booking your appointments, I recommend personally, everybody's different, either every hour on the hour or every hour and a half. So if you're starting at 8, you go every hour on the hour or every hour and a half, and you should end your day roughly by around 8 p.m. Okay? And that's when you're in the field. So everybody follow me on the schedule? So let's go over it together. So you got making calls. You have a set day and time that you're making calls, and you call until you get the results that you're looking for, not just the time. And that's where most people miss it. When I first started, is I would just make 4 hours of calls, but I still am 4 appointments short. Why'd you stop? Okay? The next thing is we're talking is the investment. So if you're going to write $30,000 a month, can I just speak very candidly to you? You're going to need to have resources. You're not going to write $30,000 a month and you don't have no leads. You're not going to write $30,000 a month. And if you've been here for a while, we got leads, you have current clients, you have referrals. Those are different resources of people that you can help to be able to show them what we do as it pertains to mortgage protection and final expense. So a quick story on this. When I first started, I was on the Albright welfare system. Let me explain what that is. So we had no money. I'm talking about food stamps, state assistance, but Andy kept talking to me about saying this opportunity is incredible. I said, I know it's incredible, but I just don't have money for leads. Anybody else been on the welfare, the Albright system? Okay, y'all ain't talking to me. But anyway, so I said, I can do it. I just don't have money to invest in leads. And so he was helping me out with the leads. And Robbie, my boy Robbie, was talking to me. He said, Marcus, your numbers are about as good as everybody else's. You just don't have enough resources. So we're going to get you to invest some money. And I said, all right, well, let's do this. So we did our first big lead order. And when we did our first big lead order, Terry, we went from zero money to $763 from our first lead order. And so I went and got permission from the boss. I said, babe, you good? She said, no, I believe in you. We can do this. You're good. So I said, all right. So I spent $700, and I'm just going to talk to you like I was when I was brand new. From going from 0 to 700, I was nervous. Can I be honest with you? I was scared because I knew people were doing it and they were making sales, but a question that everybody has when they first start, I know it works for Mark, but will it work for me? I know it works for Marcus, but will it work for me? So that was the same question I had, Terry. It's like, I know it's working because I see people getting results, but will it work for me? And I got news for you. If you work, it works. So $700, and it's different when you spend $700 because now you know they got to answer the phone. And if they don't answer the phone, they tell me I'm not interested. I'm like, let's just go to the house and make sure. Let's just make sure. This was $40 investment. I just need to make sure that you really don't want this. And I'm going to show up and smile like, didn't I tell you I'm not interested? I just was making sure. I just making sure, right? So when you invest, you have to decide how much you're going to invest. Everybody's different. But what we're encouraging people to do is come out the gate swinging. Figure out how to invest anywhere from $500 to $1,000 a week in leads. Because when I invested $762, it changed my whole business. That week, I wrote $11,000. I had a $7,000 deposit, and it was a great investment, wasn't it, Mr. Kraft? And then the next week, I called Robbie because Robbie knows my NAA number by heart because I used to bug him on the weekends. I said, Robbie, I need some more of them leads. He said, Marcus, what are you doing? Didn't you see when you invested $700 how it works? I said, yes. He said, so you can't get no more free leads. Go buy some leads. Okay, so investing. Now, everybody says, well, what leads should I get? Everything is different. But when I first started, they asked me a question. They said, do you have more time or do you have more money? And as you guys heard my story, I had way more time than I did money. So if you have more time, you have to get a mix of leads. You got to get all kind of leads, the multi-leads, the RW leads, every lead works. When I first started, y'all can ask Robbie, I had expired leads. I didn't even know there was such a thing. That's right, baby. So people complaining about having 2-year-old leads, stop it. Stop it. Stop it or I'll bury you alive in a box. Stop it. A lead is a lead. It's just someone who filled out a form asking for help. And since they filled out this form, your job is to go help them. So just set an amount that says, I'm going to invest this amount and be consistent with it every week. So whether it's $200, $500, $1,000 a week, know this, for about every $100 you spend in leads, you should write $1,000 of premium. So if you're going to write $30,000, guess what? Your lead bill probably will be around $3,000. People look like, what? Yeah, that's about how it works. But if you're writing $30,000 at the starting contract, roughly you're going to bring home about $15,000. So would you give me $3,000 to bring home 12? That's a great ROI all day long and twice on Sunday, right, Mia? So that's really what we have our hands on. Now let me hit you with the third one so we can close. You ready? So the next one is managing your activity. Now remember, we have the set time of where we're going to make the phone calls. But here's what happens a lot of time when you're making those phone calls. Because you're an entrepreneur, you have to block out your time as if unless fire is in the house, you're not leaving the house. That's the mindset you have to have. So you can't have your wife calling you. You can't have the kids come bug you. You can't have they got to take out the dog. None of that matters because I'm working right now. Because if you were working at Chick-fil-A, you can't tell your boss at Chick-fil-A, hey, I got to go check on the kids. What? So I'm sorry. Won't see you next week. How about that? And that's how you have to treat your business. You have to manage your activity. And the questions that I ask myself all the time when it comes to managing my activity, write this down. Is this the best use of my time right now? Is what I'm doing right now the best use of my time? Is what I'm doing right now going to give me the greatest return on my investment? And that's the things that I ask myself often because I'm always thinking about where's my next appointment coming from. So if you stay focused on those three things, you can write $30,000 a month. Now you got to stay consistent though, because our business has a compound effect. When you start getting consistent, you start writing more premium, you start seeing more results. And when you're in the home, just work on those 4 basics where you're getting a check or pick up the phone, right? The next thing is you're going to be asking for referrals. You're going to be finding safe money and hiring in the house. If you do those 4 things, there's no reason why you cannot write $30,000 in a month. All right? My name is Marcus Richardson from Centennial, Colorado. I approve this message.